The first time I heard the words, "You're wasting your money," it echoed in my skull like a death knell, not in a place with my parents, but in the cramped, sunlit kitchen of our old home. They'd just come down from work, and their eyes shifted from me to the phone buzzing on the counter. My screen lit up with a message from a studio in another state. They'd just landed a deal. My name would soon echo in studios across the land. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling as if each character I typed might make it stay there. A painter, they'd said, a game developer. Some kind of weird, unoriginal path. They'd called it a ridiculous dream, words that cut deeper than any blade. Family, always family, the ones who spent their lives defining me by what I asterisk wasn't asterisk, not what I asterisk was. Their stories were a tapestry of warnings, each thread stitched with the idea that my ambitions were an insult to ours. I remember the first time they laughed so hard they nearly choked. "You think you're gonna break your dreams," they said it like it was a joke, but it was a hammer and it was coming down. The years passed like dust in an old book. I spent years in the shadows, the whisper of my name growing fainter. I worked my way through university, earned a job, and found myself staring at blank canvases and empty keyboards. My family's disdain wasn't just a few words, it was a wall that refused to budge. Every time I thought about leaving, they'd bring it up. "Why?" they'd ask. "Isn't this a waste?" But they didn't understand. They didn't see the fire in my eyes, the way my hands trembled with passion. Then one day I turned 30. The world had shifted, and their words now seemed like a distant echo. I was at a networking event, nerves tight as a wire when the door slid open. It was the family home, freshly painted, the windows shiny, the scent of something new. My family stood in the doorway, a mix of concern and confusion in their reflections. "Hey, sugar," my father said, his voice rough with age but earnest. "We've been waiting." My heart pounded. "What's happening?" I blurted, trying to steady myself. His gaze dropped to the floor. "You know, the painting business." He paused, the words catching. "Back then, people said you'd never make it. Said you'd sell out to the masses." I felt my face burn. "Wait, what?" He shook his head, his expression tightening. "You didn't waste your money. You chose something asterisk unique asterisk." But then the truth hit me like a lightning strike. The unique wasn't in the painting, it was in me, in the way I had poured my soul into every stroke, every color, every detail, and the waiting was for someone who finally listened. The scene that stayed with me was the next day. My family had gathered in the living room, their faces a mosaic of memory and doubt. My father stood beside my mother, eyes glistening. "You didn't just get a job," he said. "You became something we couldn't have imagined." My mother reached out, trembling. "I'm going to be proud." I heard her words, but the silence that followed was heavier than the words. My hands shook as I spoke. "I knew, I always did. But I never thought you'd see it." The moment hung in the air, thick with unspoken words. My family's disdain, once noise, now silence, became the foundation of something new. They didn't dismiss me, they listened. They saw the struggle, the persistence, the pain, and in that moment the walls they had built around my dreams finally crumbled. Years later I returned home, not as the boy they'd mocked, but as the man they'd come to recognize. The transformation was profound. I turned their barren land into a thriving ecosystem, restoring what they'd forgotten existed. The family watched, awestruck, as I walked into our once empty greenhouse, surrounded by the vibrant colors of life I'd brought back. The scene that sealed it all occurred a week later. I returned to our old house, the scent of earth and growth filling the air. The family stood in the garden, their faces reflecting a mix of fear and wonder. My father looked at me, his eyes meeting mine with a quiet understanding. My mother clutched a small photograph, a reminder of the sacrifices she'd made. My sister fidgeted as if expecting more chaos. Then the revelation came. I was no longer the weird dreamer they'd mocked. I was a painter, not just of landscapes but of life itself. The art studio in the city was a labor of love, a place where every brushstroke told a story. But there's a deeper truth here, how this family had come to see me not as a failure but as a masterpiece. The moment was silent, yet it spoke volumes. My mother stepped closer, her voice steady. "You were always right." Then my father added, "You didn't fail, you transformed asterisk." In that moment, the weight of their past words dissolved. The betrayal, the mockery, it wasn't a scar anymore. It was a lesson etched in time. I realized then that karma isn't a curveball, it's a mirror. The ones who doubted me earlier saw what they now see, a testament to resilience. The camera lingered on my eyes, reflecting the light of 1,000 years of lessons learned. I was not just returning home, I was rewriting a story, and as the family watched, I felt the power of their acceptance, a force as unbreakable as the roots of the trees I'd nurtured. This was my redemption. Not by erasing the past, but by embracing it, by proving that what they deemed ridiculous had become something extraordinary. The path was still long, but now it was illuminated. And for the first time, I didn't see the walls closing in, I saw the light breaking through. Sometimes the loudest voices are the ones that dare to speak truth, and I, once the forgotten dreamer, had finally found my voice. The family didn't just accept me anymore, they celebrated me, and that's when I knew the greatest triumph wasn't in the art or the success, but in the courage to rise.